Hey guys, I know I lied about in my last video when I said that would be my last college football video before I do NFL previews. I will do more college football videos throughout the day. Just be reacting to the matchups. I just don't have time to really cover all the matchups going on today because I take 20 minutes and there's so many games going on. But I will do reactions. Oh, I think I will also react to the USC quarterback situation, but I may do that either today or maybe tomorrow and just see how it goes tonight with as USC will take on Oregon State. And so yeah, let's do college pick'em for today really quick as there's 30 minutes before the day kicks off. So first on the agenda is Notre Dame at Wisconsin. And last night I predicted that Notre Dame was going to win, and I am sticking to my thing. I'm going to predict that Notre Dame will win. 42% of people on here agree with me. And then we're going to do Texas Tech and Texas Longhorns. Let's look at Texas Tech and let's look at Texas Tech. Sorry, I have my Fresno State notes up from last game. And let's look at the Texas. I did kind of look at Texas earlier. So Texas, I remember their only loss has been against Arkansas, and that was with Heward as the quarterback for most of the time. Thompson has been a really good quarterback for Texas. Sorry, my Wi-Fi in here has gone down bad. But let me look up Texas Tech and then we're going to look at the Longhorns. Here, I think I'm just going to duplicate this tab. And then we're going to... Sorry, my Wi-Fi is being ridiculous today. I apologize, guys. Okay, we're going to look at the Longhorns, and then we're going to look at the overall matchup. But Texas is coming off a 58-0 win over Rice last Saturday. And then they blew out Louisiana Raging Cajuns 38-18. And I think Louisiana was ranked number 23 at the time, and that is what made Texas ranked like in the top. I think it was in the top 20. Texas was ranked. I can't remember their specific rank, as you know, I follow so many sports, it all becomes a blur. But Texas is looking very promising with Casey Thompson at the helm of quarterback. He is an excellent thrower. Like, I remember watching him come in for Sam Ehlinger in the bowl game versus Colorado, and he just ignited it, and he's just been pretty solid. And then Bion Robinson, who has been nothing short of exceptional, except against Arkansas. But I mean, Arkansas had them figured out. I think it will be different. I mean, this is Big 12 conference play, so this will probably be a big, wild matchup, as it usually is. But I believe Texas will be ready for Texas Tech. Let us look at Texas Tech now. And Texas Tech has been a pretty surging team. I mean, they were down 21-0 against Houston to start off their season, and then they rolled back and took down Houston 38-21. They really rolled in that one. And then they won 28-22 against SFA, and then against the Florida International University Panthers, they won 54-21. And I believe Tyler Shook is their quarterback. They've decided on Tyler Shook. I know they've kind of like been a little like, you know, who should we decide? And he had a dominant performance. He he was 26 for 35, and he threw for 399 yards and 4 touchdowns. Have a monster game, Tyler Shook. And honestly, I believe Tyler Shook is not that bad of a quarterback. Yes, he had his woes when he played for Oregon last year. I watched quite a few of those games, but pardon me. But I believe that this Texas Red Raiders offense is good for him. And I believe that they're going to give Texas a run for their money. So both teams coming in after monster blowouts. I think it's going to come down to who will be able to make the most stops on defense, as both of these offenses are, we can argue, potent. I believe that the Longhorns may pull this one off, though. It will be a close one. Who knows? It could be 40 in the 40s, the 50s even. But that might be a little bold. But I think it'll come down to who makes the most stops, and I think Texas Longhorns may edge them out in this one. I could be wrong, but I'm gonna roll with the Texas Longhorns for now. We'll find out if I'm wrong or not. Baylor against Iowa State. Okay, so Iowa State is coming off one of their better performances of the season. Let's see. Iowa State is coming off of playing. So they were within 10 of number 5 Iowa, but that was at home. And then they blew out UNLV last week. And then they barely beat Northern Iowa. And then if we look at Baylor, has been, well, they barely beat Texas State to start off, which I think is probably worse than, I think Northern Iowa is probably better than Texas State. But they took on Texas Southern, and they won 66-7. And then they beat Kansas, a conference team, 45-7. And now they'll play at home against Iowa State. 5% pick the Baylor Bears. 95% pick Iowa State. Now, I had my concerns about Iowa State in their first 2 games of the season, but they showed that they are still pretty dominant, but it is in Baylor. And so far, it looks like Baylor might be back to kind of their, their defense hasn't given up over 20 points in a game yet. I mean, of course, it's all, not hard teams that they've played so far. But if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm liking Baylor more than I like Iowa State. I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to say Baylor upsets Iowa State. It will be a close game. I will give Iowa State's defense credit, and I will give Brock Purdy and Breece Hall credit too. But I think Baylor edges them out, as it is in Baylor. And I think those fans are going to be passionate and giving them an extra boost. Texas A&M against Arkansas. Number 7 versus number 16 matchup. As I covered last night, I think that Arkansas is going to get the upset. Texas A&M has not impressed me yet. I still don't think they deserve to be in the top 7. And I'm going to roll with Arkansas. If you want to see more of that, just check out the last video. I'm not trying to plug. That's my reasoning for it. I don't want to recap everything I talked about last night. That was a lot. Okay. Rutgers against Michigan. 1% picked Rutgers, and 99% have picked Michigan. I'm going to be honest. I think I'm going to roll with Michigan. I like their revitalized running game. Yes, I don't think McNamara is that great of a quarterback, but I think with their revitalized running game, hang on, I can't remember their names, but they have like 2 or 3 solid running backs that have just been amazing. Sorry, this happens when I follow multiple sports. I don't know every player on every team. Okay. In Michigan, I guess we can look at their matchups coming into this game. And we can look at the Scarlet Knights too, but I think Michigan will edge this out. I think that, they've just been strong. They've destroyed Washington, who I think will be making a run back. I will talk more about that tomorrow, depending on how tonight's game goes. And they've crushed Western Michigan, who isn't too bad, actually, in my opinion. And then Northern Illinois, of course, that's what they'll do, 63-10. I just think it's in the big house. 110,000 strong will be supporting them. Their running game, hang on, let me look at their running game. Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards and Hassan Haskins. Those are their 3 top running backs, I'm assuming. Let me just double check, but I am 100% sure those are their top 3. Yep, Haskins and Corum. So those are their 2 top running backs. Good luck stopping that, Rutgers. I mean, Rutgers, it feels like... Let's look at Rutgers really quick. Rutgers has beaten Syracuse, Temple, and Delaware, convincingly, all of them. But they beat Syracuse by 10. I think, and they're not... It's just the environment they're going into, the running game, the confidence Michigan's going to have. I'm rolling with Michigan, and I think it's going to be at least a 2-score game. And let's look at UTSA against Memphis. Easy, Memphis. I like what Memphis is doing. I think that they had a really good performance last week against Mississippi State, and I'm excited to see where this Tigers team goes as they are... Sorry, my cold is killing me. As they are set to win, to go in. I think they're set for a good season this year. UCLA, number 24 against Stanford. I said this earlier, as I said last video. I really don't know if UCLA is quite as good as everybody makes them out to be. I watched most of their games last year, and they competed. They will compete with Stanford, but I think Stanford's defense will step up big. I think their offense is still strong enough to keep up with UCLA's high-scoring offense. UCLA does have some playmakers. They have Quantrez Knight, and then they have... Can't think of the other standout guy they have that's not on the top. Man, there's so many teams in college football, man. But I think Stanford will edge them out. I mean, yes, Stanford did lose their first game, and it was against, Kansas State. But they've beaten USC and, Vanderbilt. I know Vanderbilt's nobody, but I think anybody who beats USC can definitely beat UCLA. And I think Stanford will have the advantage of being at home. And I am going to roll with Stanford. Number 25, Kansas State at the Oklahoma State Cowboys. I think I'm going to agree with the 68% majority here. And I think I'm going to go with the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Why? I think that they had a quality win last week to go into Boise State and take out Boise State. Yes, they edged them out, but I think Oklahoma State is going to be soaring with confidence. Yes, Kansas State did beat Stanford. Hang on, let's look up Kansas State really quick to make sure I'm not overlooking Kansas State. Perfect has immediate. And then they played Southern Illinois and Nevada after that. They only won by 8 points against Southern Illinois. And then they won by 21 versus Kansas State, 38-17, and 31-23 against Southern Illinois. Sorry, and then they beat Stanford 24-7. Sorry, I need to be better at mentioning the scores of games. But if I'm going to be honest here, I think Oklahoma State. Let's look at their wins really quick. Make sure I'm judging Oklahoma State correctly. Their wins have come against Missouri State and Tulsa. I still think Tulsa is still a pretty solid team from last year. Yes, they did lose a few guys to the draft, but I still think Tulsa is a quality win, and Boise State is definitely a quality win. I don't think Boise State is as bad as their record indicates. They've just lost some tight games. I'm really liking Oklahoma State at Stillwater, and I think that they will win this. It could be a close game, and it's the Big 12. Anything goes wild in the Big 12, but I think Oklahoma State wins this one. Oklahoma and West Virginia. I did cover this last night too. Yes, West Virginia has been having some really good performances. I really liked their running back, and then I couldn't pronounce the quarterback's name, but I think Oklahoma will be ready to make a statement after some questionable, probably ugly wins, really. They've won ugly as the number 4 team in the country, and I think Oklahoma will be ready. They'll be in Norman. They'll be ready. USC versus Oregon State. Now, this one will be tricky. As I mentioned, Jackson Dart just got surgery on his knee, and Keaton Slovis has a neck strain, which put him out from last week 4 to 6 weeks. So he's at least out for another 3 to 5 weeks. And so, I mean, we'll see how USC rolls with whoever they have at quarterback. I'm sure he shouldn't be too bad since he's on the USC depth chart. But Oregon State is underrated, in my opinion. I've really liked what they've amassed over the last few years. I mean, they upset Oregon last year. This is the same team, keep in mind, minus Jamar Jefferson. But this is pretty much the same team as last year. And they are taking on... But it is in USC. Let me make sure that I'm making the right prediction here and look up Oregon State's wins. I mean, Oregon State barely lost to Purdue. Then they blew out Hawaii, and then they shut out Idaho. This game is a tricky one. I really think everybody definitely is overlooking Oregon State in this one, as USC is favored with 95%. USC's defense is legit, in my opinion. And I think I hate this so much. Oregon State is probably coming in with a lot of confidence. I'm going to move this game to my number 1 in confidence because this is the game I feel least confident about so far. I am a Pac-12 fan. I'm not being biased. I know that Oregon State is a better team than what most of the country thinks, but I think USC will probably pull this one off as they are at home, and they're coming off such an emotional win. Yes, they won't have Jackson Dart. They won't have Keaton Slovis. I can't tell you who will be starting for them. I will find out about that tonight, but ultimately, I just think that they will probably pull out the edge. And I guess it's now time for me to rank these. So I'm most confident in Michigan winning. I am most confident in, let's see here. I think Oklahoma winning is a pretty confident pick. I think I'm pretty confident in Oklahoma State winning, so that will be my 8th matchup. Stanford winning, I think I'm more confident in Memphis winning than Stanford winning, so I will swap them. I am pretty confident in Arkansas winning. I am pretty confident in Baylor winning, though I should probably move that to my number 2 pick because it gives me anxiety that only 5% picked Baylor to win. And I'm okay confidence in Notre Dame. It really depends on how Wisconsin comes out. I'm not riding with Graham Mertz right there. But yeah. And then I guess the final will be how many total points in West Virginia versus Oklahoma. I'm going to go 57. I'm going to go the over under 56.5. I'm going to go over and I'm going to say 57. As I believe it will be a 37. Well, yeah, my final score prediction is 37 to... Ooh, I think 54. 54. My final score prediction for that game is 37-17. So I'm going to go 54. I'm going to go under. But, maybe Oklahoma will make this a statement win. Like I said, none of this is set in stone. I'm not the college football prophet. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to be able to. Not all of these will be 100% correct. And if they are, I'll celebrate. But, I mean, these are my best picks based on how I've, watched college football, my knowledge on these teams in the last few years. Because a bunch of these teams are pretty much continuations of last year. I mean, though it's tough to say, but I think these are my picks, and I just hope that they do well. What are your guys' picks for today? I know that it's now 12 minutes before the day starts, but these are my picks, and I hope you guys have a great day.